and then coming towards me were people running, like running to save their lives. And I stood there, and everybody was stood there. I mean, it was like you were frozen in the spot, like, I can't believe this is happening. And like one guy ran out and he fell right in the middle of the street. And then like people would go pick him up. And then a policeman came running downtown. The policeman kept running towards us and said, move it, move it. And he's waving his arms, and uptown, uptown. And I thought he's really in a panic. I got, we got to get out of here. So I started moving. I spun around, and it was like a million people with me moving. And this guy ran past me. He was all covered with white. He was a businessman with his briefcase and Poland Spring water. And he hit the wall, and he slid down the wall. And so I went over to him and I said, let me help you up. I'll, you know, are you hurt? And he like glass in his face. And so I helped him up. We got up and he was very calm. He said, what's your name? And I just couldn't think, you know. And I said, well, let me take you to an ambulance. And then I realized there were no ambulances, no fire trucks, and the policemen in those navy blue uniforms like were covered all in white. And so I said to the cop, I'll take him to the hospital. I'll walk you to the hospital because there's no ambulance. And he said, yeah, we'll go to the hospital. We'll walk. And I said, maybe I'm in shock and like that. And the policeman said, we don't know where the hospitals are. And I realized, but this is a hotel here, and it was a Soho Grand, this very elegant hotel. So I put my arms around him and we walked in this hotel. And everybody's in black. Everything is, you know, New York is always black, which I prefer anyway. But this man, and all in black, came over, and I said, will you help him? Will you know, he wants to lie down, wash up, or whatever he needs. The guy put his arms around him and he said, I'll take care of you, I'll take care of you. So I turned around and I left, and there were other men sitting. There was one man sitting on the sidewalk. He was an older gentleman, and he had his head buried in his hands. And I couldn't tell if he was crying or he was just in so much shock. So I said, go in the Soho Grand, wash your face, or lie down on the floor in there, because at least you're out of the area. You're out of the smoke. It smelled so bad. And everything was white. And so the cop, I said, he got up, and they helped him up, and they were helping him into the Soho Grand. I was about to leave, and there were people watching, and the cops started yelling, this isn't a tourist attraction. You get uptown, uptown, uptown. And so it was like people started moving again, and it was the police yelling for people to move. And they evacuated. The whole area was evacuated. It was almost like, and I thought, I'll call Jonas. I couldn't get Ken on the phone. I didn't know the power lines were down, because Verizon was right next to the World Trade Center, and it melted. When it blew up, all the cable telephone lines were down. And so I was trying to call NYU, New York University. So I walked towards New York University. I was talking to people. There was a man who was saying into his phone, or I'm all right, I'm here, I'm heading up Broadway. And I actually was walking up Broadway with him. And I asked him where he's from, and he was saying, I'm from Egypt. I'm really worried. It looks like people are going to think it's the Middle East, and it's terrorists, definitely terrorists. And then I talked to a woman who was really sobbing, a young woman who had just gotten her clothes on. She was to get out of the apartment. She said she had a hard time getting out, and she was crying. And then I went to NYU, and I got in the building, and I went up to the Cinema Studies department, and Annette Michelson was there, Chris Strayer, the chair, Richard Allen, all the faculty was gathered around the office, and they were closing the university. Chris said, Strayer said, we have to close the university. We have to get our students off campus, out of the building, and home safely. We're going to close the classes. And she was answering phones, and the television was on, and they were saying it could be 6 more planes. A plane had crashed into the Pentagon, and it was, and Annette and Richard Allen was talking about how the towers had fallen. And the thing I realized when I watched that tower explode and fall was the other tower was gone. There was only one tower standing, and I didn't even realize that the first tower had fallen, the second tower fell. And I went to Anthology, nobody was there. I went home and I called Canyon. I called Dominic, and because I wanted them to know the co-op was safe. The thing with the film co-op is, Brackett had visited and he said, you know, the air, there's all these smokestacks, you should seal the windows. So we had the windows all sealed. We had sealed the door, and we had left the air conditioner on, and put rubber stripping around the door, so it was really sealed off. Wow, look how beautiful that is. And so I went home and I called Canyon, and then I called, what's the matter? Isn't this amazing looking? And then I called, Peggy always called and said, are you all right? What's your, you know, how's everything? Michelle Handelman was the first call. She called 9:30. And so I went to give blood. And actually, everyone was trying, there were hundreds of people trying to give blood, and there were not enough survivors in the blood. And we should eat, huh?
Yeah.
How's that?
Good.